Good afternoon, Baskin Engineering. I hope you're ready for this, because it's going to be fun. My name is Alexander Wolf, and I'm the Dean of the Baskin School of Engineering. Before we get underway, I'd like to invite Elisa Kazi to deliver our land acknowledgement. Elisa is a candidate for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering. She represents the Mescalero Apache tribe. Elisa.
The land on which we gather is the unceded territory of the Awaswas-speaking Yupi tribe. The Amamutsin tribal band, comprised of the descendants of indigenous people taken to missions Santa Cruz and San Juan Bautista during the Spanish colonization of the Central Coast, is today working hard to restore tribal stewardship practices on these lands and heal from historical trauma.
Thank you, Elisa. So welcome to the 2025 Commencement Celebration of the UC Santa Cruz Baskin School of Engineering. We're gathered on our beautiful campus to celebrate you, the Baskin School of Engineering class. And today, we will honor the candidates for degrees of PhD, Master of Science, Bachelor of Science, and Bachelor of Arts. Earning a degree in engineering is an impressive accomplishment, and all of us are immensely proud of the determination that you have shown in pursuing and completing your engineering degrees here at Baskin Engineering. The world we are living in can feel unsettled, and for many of us, the future seems unpredictable, even daunting. But on a day like today, we're filled with hope for the future, and we look to you, our future technology workforce and engineering leaders. We look to you to chart a path forward to enable social progress, expanded economic opportunity, and a more healthy and sustainable planet for all of us and for all who will follow us in the future. Each year, it's my honor to send you off into a profession that is extremely important and impactful, one that touches nearly every aspect of society. And this year is probably as exciting and as important as any year that we've done this. I'd like to introduce you and thank a number of our very important people who have joined us today. Seated with us is our commencement speaker, Lloyd Tabb. And our student speakers, Elisa, who you've met already, and Dalal Arafeh. Also joining us today are Sri Kurniawan, Associate Dean for Research, Roberto Manducci, Associate Dean for the Graduate Experience, Jim Whitehead, Associate Dean for the Undergraduate Experience, and Ann Chris, who is our Assistant Dean, Chiefs of Staff, and Director of our Climate Solutions efforts. To the friends and families gathered here today, your support and the sacrifices you have made on behalf of your students have been mission critical in bringing today's graduates to this remarkable milestone. We're grateful and deeply humbled by your commitment to them. I also want to thank and acknowledge our distinguished faculty members who are on stage with me and in the faculty seating area. Baskin Engineering faculty are dedicated teachers and mentors. I don't have to tell you that. They're also brilliant researchers. A large number of them you have worked with in our research laboratories, making real and measurable contributions to the efforts that have earned our campus national and international recognition as a research university. So how many of you have participated in faculty-led research? See, that's one of the unique and remarkable things about this university, the extent to which you have had an opportunity to not only sit in front of the faculty and listen to their wise words in a lecture, but actually be in the lab with them and work with them and get to do engineering. That's a wonderful thing. And of course, while research is a primary focus for us all at UC Santa Cruz, we are equally committed to our teaching mission. Each year, UCSC students vote for their favorite instructors to receive the Excellence in Teaching Award. This award is granted to one instructor per division, and their innovative approaches to teaching and their deep commitment to our students. This year, the students' choice for the Excellence in Teaching Award in Baskin Engineering is to Alex Rudnick. Alex, aside from having a wonderful first name, is a lecturer in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. So I really want to thank Dr. Rudnick for his dedication to you and helping you in your educational journey. I would also like to acknowledge the talented and dedicated staff at Baskin Engineering who've worked hard to bring us all to this special day. I'm not only speaking of the staff you've interacted with directly, our advisors, our Mesa Engineering program team, staff and student workers in Slugworks and Bells. I also, yes, please. I also want to acknowledge the folks who work behind the scenes, keeping the school running, bringing us spectacular events like today's. So please join me in acknowledging and thanking the Baskin Engineering staff. So today we have more students registered for this graduation ceremony than for any in the history of Baskin Engineering. That's going to be a lot of students who will be crossing this stage. So I'll try to keep the rest of my remarks brief. Right on. Class of 2025, we're gathered here today to celebrate your achievements as individuals and your collaboration with others. During your time here at Baskin Engineering and UC Santa Cruz have been recognized for excellence in ways that I hope have touched all of you. In 2024, Princeton Review ranked UCSC number 15 among public universities in the US for making an impact. In 2025, US News & World Report named UCSC the number 12 public university for undergraduate teaching. So this gives me the perfect opportunity to acknowledge the graduate students who make crucial contributions to undergraduate teaching at Baskin Engineering. Thank you to our TAs, graduate student instructors, and anyone else in the graduate cohort who's had a meaningful impact on your lives. Thank you. During your time here, Baskin Engineering has received a number of accolades for our efforts around inclusive excellence. By this, I'm referring to innovative programming to raise up all of our students, regardless of where you come from or what resources have been available to you on your pathway to Baskin Engineering. Please know that Baskin Engineering remains committed to this important work and this important goal. During your time as students, we have introduced exciting new initiatives. In fall 2023, we opened Slugworks. Our new student creator space, which I understand has had 1,400 students participating in it from across the university, giving you the opportunity not only to do the work that you want to do individually, but also to work with others from other disciplines. That is another unique aspect of Baskin Engineering and UC Santa Cruz. This year we organized our first annual Climate Week at Baskin Engineering to inspire action and collaboration to address the global climate crisis. We hope to make Climate Week an annual tradition and invite those of you who self-identify as climate warriors, I'm sure there are a lot of you, to come back to Baskin Engineering to participate in Climate Week and any other programming that interests you. The students who will follow in your footsteps will look to you as an example. I hope you will embrace them, share your successes, networks, and wisdom with them. Your legacy at Baskin Engineering is really just beginning. So it's now my privilege to introduce today's student speaker. Dalal Arafeh is graduating with a Bachelor's of Science in Technology and Information Management. She is an inspiring leader and a brilliant example of the talent and determination that epitomize the Baskin Engineering class of 2025. Dalal pursued an internship with the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies in Bangkok, Thailand. While there, she worked in information management, designing Excel templates for regional project tracking and automatic mapping using QGIS and Python. Dalal now volunteers with the International Services Department at the American Red Cross National Headquarters, supporting international disaster coordination. Closer to home, Dalal volunteers with the Santa Cruz chapter of the Red Cross, serving her community through home fire preparedness, mass care sheltering, and information and planning efforts. She recently gave up one of her Saturdays to represent the TIM program at Banana Slug Day, which brings in students who have been admitted to UC Santa Cruz and shows them why UCSC and Baskin Engineering are really the best choice for their undergraduate studies. Dalal is an academic power player. This year she received a UCSC Dean's Award, as well as the ACS Amman's Academic Excellence Award, which is presented by the American Community School in Amman, Jordan. Dalal has appeared on the public stage, presenting 2 TEDx talks, one on the provocative power of art, and another on a memory-enhancing technique that blends creativity with design thinking. Next on our journey, Dalal will be pursuing a master's degree in data science and business analytics. So without further ado, I give you Dalal Arafeh.
Thank you, Dean Alexander Wolf, for the kind introduction and for the privilege of addressing this remarkable community. Congratulations, class of 2025. My name is Dalal Arafeh, and it's an incredible honor to stand before you today as we celebrate this milestone. I still remember the first time I got lost on campus. I stood beneath a redwood tree and said, "It's fine, you'll figure it out." That redwood stood tall, calm, and rooted. Yet, it didn't say much back. I grew up in a country where the language, the culture, and the expectations all felt like second nature. But when I moved across the world for university, the familiar gave way to the unknown. Finding my way wasn't just about learning directions. It meant learning how to learn, live, and exist all over again. And like anything newly planted, I had to adapt. Here at Santa Cruz, the air carries the crisp scent of salt, and banana slug isn't a weird insult. After all, it's our school mascot. Street names like Soquel and Zayanti felt like tongue twisters, and every small talk attempt became a crash course in Californian quirks. As I was just starting to replant myself on unfamiliar soil, there was a whole other layer that I hadn't even touched. Then I stepped into Baskin Engineering and the learning curve steepened. It felt like everyone around me was fluent in a language I was still trying to learn. They referenced tools I hadn't heard of and debated topics I was still Googling under the table. The pressure to keep up never went away. But what changed was how I saw myself in the process. Through countless lines of code and even more moments of confusion, something finally compiled. Engineering isn't Engineering isn't about having all the answers up front. The first version of anything, whether it's code, design, or even one's own understanding, is rarely the final one. Neither is the first version of yourself. Being an international student isn't just about relocating. Adapting didn't happen all at once. It was slow, clumsy, and full of trial and error, kind of like my first C+ project. I was constantly debugging my whole identity while the program was still running, rewording the interface between who I was and who I was becoming. Over time, Baskin became more than a place to study engineering. It became a lab for growth, a space to design the person I wanted to be. I learned to rebuild myself with intention and courage, experimenting not only with data systems and algorithms, but with voice, confidence, and perspective. In many ways, this process of growth wasn't something I did alone. It was shaped by the people around me, by the community that held me up when things felt uncertain. This brings me back to the redwoods. If you've ever stood under them long enough, you'll notice something remarkable. Their roots don't grow deep. Instead, they spread wide, interconnected beneath the surface. Each redwood is unique, but their strength doesn't come from how deep their roots go. It comes from how well they support one another from underneath the ground. In the same way, our time here hasn't been a solo pursuit of independence. It thrived in a forest of shared interdependence. Even though our roots were nurtured in different soils, we found our grounding by leaning on one another, growing side by side, and being shaped by the people who stood by us as we grew into the changes of each new season. To those who grew through those seasons with me, especially the ones who crossed oceans, borders, and comfort zones to be here, I know how heavy a suitcase can feel when it's packed with more than clothes. Tucked between passport stamps and packed meals from home were childhood languages and futures still taking shape in notebook margins. Especially the suitcases packed by our first-generation students, carrying the generations of hope from abuelas y abuelos, from tetas y jiddos. And now, they are fulfilling a legacy as Baskin Engineering students, mastering the spaces their families laid the foundation for. While our paths were all different, none of us made it to this moment alone. To the families, here in person or watching from across the world, thank you. Thank you for the tearful goodbyes at airports, for staying up late to answer our calls even when the time zones refused to align, and for sending love in WhatsApp messages. This moment, though we're the ones in the gowns, belongs just as much to you. And to my mom, thank you for being my first teacher and my loudest cheerleader. And thank you, of course, for always reminding me to take my vitamins. Even with an ocean and a time zone between us, your care always found me, like the moon following me across different skies. Distant, but never gone. To the faculty who taught us, challenged us, and reminded us to keep going when things got hard, thank you. And Professor Subas, I know you're watching this live stream right now. Don't worry, I did use the structured problem-solving process to write this speech. What I appreciated most about your TIM classes is that you treated us like professionals from day one. And somehow, in a class of over 100 students, you remembered all of our names. You created a space where our ideas felt valued, encouraged us to think deeply, and gave us the confidence to speak with purpose. For that, I'm truly grateful. Now, when I stand under the redwoods, I think back to that first day, standing on unfamiliar soil and lost. But now, I feel rooted, thanks to this Baskin Engineering family that taught me how to speak its language without losing my own. Thank you.
Thank you, Dalal. That was really, really beautiful. I'm sure it touched many people in our audience. You really embody the grit and determination and values that are the hallmark of the Baskin Engineering student. Now what I'd like to do is introduce our commencement speaker, Lloyd Tabb. Someone who not only helped shape the internet as we know it, but also reimagined how we understand and work with data. Lloyd is a trailblazing software engineer and entrepreneur with a career spanning over 30 years. He got his start as a database and languages architect at Borland, but his impact quickly scaled up with his work at Netscape Communications. For those of you who haven't studied the early history of the web, or those who have studied the early history of the web, you'll recognize Netscape as the company that launched the first commercial web browser, Netscape Navigator. Lloyd helped build Netscape Navigator Gold, which was one of the very first tools to allow people not just to browse the web, but also to create content for it, something that laid the groundwork for the user-generated web we take for granted today. He was also one of the original architects behind Mozilla.org, the open source project that would go on to spawn the Firefox browser. These weren't just engineering milestones, they were culture-shifting moments in the history of computing. Lloyd didn't stop there. In 2012, he founded Looker, a data analytics company that challenged the status quo of business intelligence tools. And he did that right here in Santa Cruz. He created LookML, a new modeling language that helped analysts and engineers describe data relationships in a scalable and reusable way. Under Lloyd's technical leadership, Looker grew into a platform used by companies around the world and was eventually acquired by Google in 2019. Beyond the resume, Lloyd's career reflects the kind of engineering ethos we value at UCSC: curiosity, creativity, and a belief that great tools can change the world. He's also known to find inspiration while mountain biking on the trails all around Santa Cruz. So he's one of us in more ways than one. So please give us a warm welcome, give a warm welcome to a true innovator and a generous mentor to the next generation of engineers, Lloyd Tabb.
Congratulations, you made it. I hope you take this moment to realize and internalize it and celebrate it. When I look out, I see not only graduates, but family, friends, support networks that have helped you get here. Support comes in many forms: love, encouragement, financial help, late night phone calls, and this is a celebration for all of you. I'm honestly flattered, a little terrified, and surprised to be up here. But speaking to you today, most of my career I've spent building software. I still write code almost every day and get to work with brilliant people. I work on hard, interesting problems. I suspect the reason I'm standing in front of you is that I founded Looker, a company founded here in Santa Cruz in 2011 with just a handful of us at Cruise.io. By the time we were acquired at Google 8 years later, we were 1,000 people worldwide. I'd like to say that I lived a well-planned life, but I didn't. What I can say is that some of the best things in my life, including Looker, have happened because I've worked on what genuinely interested me. Let me take you back 40 years ago when I was at Florida State University in Tallahassee. I started studying accounting. I came from a long line of accountants. My father was an accountant, my grandfather was an accountant, my uncle was an accountant. It seemed like the path. But when I took a programming class, everything changed for me. I knew that right away that this was what I wanted to do, to make software. What really was the spark for me was compilers. I was especially drawn to programming languages, how they were designed, how they can express ideas, how they can translate human thought and into things that machines can run. I ended up graduating, majoring in finance and a minor in computer science. And when I graduated, I didn't have a job lined up. I didn't have a plan. I had some idea about getting out to Silicon Valley, but I didn't know anyone out here. And it didn't feel like my future was in Tallahassee, so I put everything I owned in my car, my clothes, a computer, not much else, and I started driving. I drove to New York, where my mom lived, and started looking for work. My uncle, the accountant, had a client of his in New Jersey at a flavors and fragrances factory, and they needed help with their computer. So I took a job. Why not? I lasted about 2 weeks. While I made myself useful there, it wasn't making anything. I wasn't building. I wasn't learning. The days weren't great, and I quickly realized that I didn't want to just maintain systems. I wanted to create them. So that leads me to my first piece of advice for you all. My first piece of advice is a good life is just a series of good days. Big life decisions can feel overwhelming. How do you decide where to live, what job to take? How do you know when you should stick with something or move on? These are tough questions, but sometimes the simplest metric is the honest one. How are your days? If most days are good and you're learning and growing and finding some joy, that's a good life. There will be rough days too, that's normal. But if most days feel heavy, dull, or disconnected, and what lights you up isn't there, that's a signal. We often stay in situations too long, hoping things will improve. But if you stop learning and the spark is gone, be brave, make a change. At the end, your life is built one day at a time. So try to stack up as many good ones as you can. I wasn't having good days in New York at the factory, so I packed everything up in my car again, and I started driving west. My best friend, Scott, had moved to Boulder, Colorado a few years earlier, so I headed there, and I stopped and decided to visit. When I got there, I realized a bunch of our old high school friends had moved there also, and it felt like coming home. I had a place to stay, I was comfortable. Boulder just fit. It was a small college town with a vibrant culture, easy access to outdoors, surrounded by smart, interesting people, great mountain biking. So I liked it, so I started looking for jobs locally. This was before the internet, so I looked in classified ads in the paper. I ended up interviewing for 2 jobs. One was a relatively large company that made dedicated word processing machines. This was back in the 80s when a word processor was its own physical machine. They was used by law firms and doctors' offices. And the PCs were a new thing at the time. One was another small startup with just 1 engineer and maybe 10 people in the company, and they made PC software to protect school computers from tampering. It was basically early security software. Before that was a big thing. I ended up choosing the larger company, NBI. I figured I'd learn more surrounded by experienced engineers, and it proved true. I'd regularly get assigned problems I didn't know how to solve. I'd panic a little every time. Someone sitting near me would help out. The people weren't just coworkers, they became mentors and friends. I was doing useful work and I was learning from people that were really great at what they did. They were always patient and kind when I had questions. It was a different kind of learning than school. I was building my skills. That's really when I became a software engineer. So here's my second piece of advice. When you find people you want to learn from, be useful to them. People often talk about finding a mentor, but what you're really looking for is something closer to apprenticeship. In school, you're focused purely on learning, but in the workplace, that learning continues, and only now when you're doing real work, under the guidance of more experienced people. Embrace that dynamic. It's a two-way relationship. Mentors get the benefits of your contributions. They're there to help. You, the apprentice, gets the experience and perspective. The model has worked for centuries, and it still works today. Be thoughtful of your work situation and who you choose to learn from. That early influences may shape your path more than you might realize. And when you find someone or someplace exceptional, do your best work. That's when the real growth happens. Like many aging technology companies, NBI ended up being on the wrong side of a big shift. They were focused on proprietary word processors, just as the world was moving to personal computers. They tried to pivot. They took a last swing at Microsoft Word, but the writing was on the wall. Then that small company in Boulder that interviewed me, they called me. They were working on a new product. They were building a compiler, my dream job. As I mentioned, I love programming languages, and I discovered a new love, databases. So I joined them, just me and another engineer. Over a couple of years, we built a product called Force. Force was a brand new native code compiler and a new database programming language and accompanying database. It was an insane project for two people. I couldn't have done the work if I hadn't spent the time at the bigger company. Building a complete product with just one engineer taught me a tremendous amount about real software engineering, compilers, databases, and startups. Ultimately, the product fell flat. Actually, it was a total failure. But the lessons I learned were essential later in my career, including my next job up here in Scotts Valley at Borland. So, some more advice. Pay close attention to what inspires you. What part of the work brings you the most joy? That spark matters. If you're lucky and intentional, you can shape your career around it. By this point in the story, so let me take you to another time. It's much later in my life. I'm 36 years old, I'm living in Santa Cruz, and I have a couple of kids. At this point, I'd already started and sold a company. The company had been acquired by another company, and it was a huge success. And one of my life goals, which was to earn enough money that I could choose whatever I wanted to do with my time, I had achieved that. It was great, but it was also kind of scary. What would I do with my days? So I decided to experiment with a bunch of things. I tried my hand at venture capital, hated it, not making things. I decided to get good at photography. I did. But the most important thing I did during that time was I got involved in my kids' school, Gateway School, which is down on the coast. One of the remarkable things about Gateway was how they responded to parent energy. They figured out how to use it. At first, I came to talk to some 7th graders about the internet. It was still new and expanding, and it needed explaining. I met a teacher, and it really clicked. And the next year, she invited me to come work directly with her class, and I did. The principal had some money to build a computer lab, so I set it up. I even joined the school's board of directors, and for the next 4 years, Gateway became a big part of my life. I started writing some open source software to let kids blog their homework, but really what stood out to me was the school's computer lab. So every Wednesday afternoon, the kids would gather from 2nd grade through middle school, even some high school kids would come back. And the kids were doing these incredible things they were with Photoshop, some kids were programming, and the teacher, Cindy Zimmerman, who was amazing, didn't actually know how to do what the kids were doing. But it didn't matter because the kids were teaching each other. What was happening in the lab wasn't just a fluke, it was by design. One of the Gateway's core value was creating a safe learning environment. And in order to learn, you need to feel emotionally safe. Being safe, being able to not know something and ask questions, and not being worried about being teased. In the computer lab, when someone had a question, the kids stopped what they were doing and answered it. They helped each other. They were learning from each other. That computer lab, those years were pretty magical. Fast forward to 2011, starting my next company, Looker. In the years between Gateway and Looker, I'd gone back into tech and become a CTO of a few companies. Every one of those companies, data, managing it, and using it was the central problem that I ended up building, and I ended up building the same tools over and over again. So when we started Looker, the job wasn't to just build the tool once more, it was to build the tool in a programmable way. At the heart of it was a new programming language for working with data. Companies that introduce programming languages are not successful, generally. And I knew that getting the world to learn this new language that I was creating was going to be a real challenge. Very early on, we built chat into the client of Looker, and when someone had a question, they would jump onto chat and I would answer it immediately. As we grew, we hired smart kids like you, right out of school, and to answer those questions. And just like at the computer lab at Gateway, eventually in every Looker office we had what we called a kitchen table. It was a long table where everybody sat at, the people who were answering questions and the people who were supporting our customers. So when anyone had a question about Looker or anything else, they would educate each other at the table. So here's my last piece of advice. When you think something isn't on track with your career, it often is. Your work doesn't define you, and what you're learning, especially the parts that don't seem to connected, you may not realize how useful they are much later. Follow your passion for learning, and you can't go wrong. Thank you, Baskin School of Engineering 2025, and congratulations.
Thank you, Lloyd. I wish I had heard that speech much earlier in my life. All right, what do you want to do now? What do you say we celebrate your graduation? Okay, so we are going to, when you reach the stage, you'll be greeted by Jim Whitehead, Professor of Computational Media and Associate Dean for the Undergraduate Experience. You'll be greeted by Professor of Computer Science and Engineering, Roberto Monducchi, Associate Dean for the Graduate Experience. And you will be pausing for a photo. I'll shake your hand. Then you'll pause for a photo. We are going to start with PhD students, and then we will go on to master's and undergraduate students. So let's begin.
Sabyasachi Basu. Gitanjali Rakshit.
Priyanka Mondal.
Paul Kenna Wintz.
Ishan Paranjpe.
Now we will be celebrating the master's students and the undergraduate students.
Dalal Arafe. Alyssa Kaji.
Sanat Pai. Ayush Ranjan.
Arshia Kapil. Karthik K. Bat. Ahwan Koirala. Aditya Bedekar. Rohan Pradhan.
Varun Syatya Narayanan.
Devanathan Nalur Gandamani. Aravind Ramamurthy. AJ Silverstein. Lumina Ahon Kinsinger Dang. Zoe Moreland. Sebastian Ozario. Joaquin Ortiz. William Kelly Self.
Oliver Fuchs.
Zachary W. Bethel. Keshav Ravichandran. Vincent McDowell Jr. Giovanni Uribe. Maxwell Calixto Arcinas. Daniel Robert Perlov. Manuel Hidalgo Sola. Evan Quintana. Aiden Maldonado. Yekaterina Germanenko. Mara Masik. Guy Joshua Rosenberg. Andriy Polyak.
Amanda Morgan Lee.
Samyak Sharma. Anshul Jagtap.
Aryan Sahni.
Akshat Sharma. Benjamin Portnoy. Diana Yusupova. Catherine Rogacheva. Kevin Jung. Sia Jung. Rosalind Dixon. Caitlin Patricia Bonicio. Thomas Allen Wessel. Jared Ryan Spangler. Michael Eugene Campanelli. Ben Hess. Naomi Amina Marie Rahman. Jonathan Wellington Morris.
Luca Nicholas Archenot.
Kenneth Price. Ella Elizabeth Dorseter. David Thomas Shonak. Sergio Elizalde Casarubias Jr. Lennon Tuffy. Caden Grace Zayla O'Connor Jacobs. Jihang Lee. Derek Lai. Yaspreet Singh. Yafi Thai. Aiden Johnson. Brian Vincent Ramos Panning Batam. Ashton Lewis Coons. Jackie Ty. Anna Elizabeth Villa. Adele Polazuk. Maggie Chai. Mariah Regalado. Emily Perales. Dana Jeffs. Josh Daniel Levino. Alex Andrew Rodriguez Rojas. Isaac Francisco Garibay. Justin Bradley Teeter. Kevin Joseph. Lonnie Halstead Ruelas. Anna Sophia. Elizabeth Schluter Langdon. Valentina Serrano. Nathan Leon Sturm. Raj Shah. Adarsh Singh. Isabella Jane Reed. Arya Raj Rathi. Malis Vuslat Pecker. Isabella Fong. Mason Robert Becker. Alonzo Keith Acosta. Alex Besansone. Jacob B. Tarego. Amanda Rose Harrison. Ethan Ford. Garrett Yu. Brennan Sang. Eric Chung Man Yu. Kai Lindsley. Gavin Christopher Lebo. Evelyn Gunyel. Danny Scott Jex Sabin. Vanessa Sue. Aiden Dozier. Ezra Frary.
Aliyah Islam.
Aiden Ryan Pinero. Clayton William Frank Nelson. Daniel Martinez. Lika Pulido. Bhavna Mahi. Itanesh Seifu Abebe. Samantha Albo. Emil Ivanov Sabev. Jasmine Tai. Dennis William Hill. Nicholas Dupree. Ryan Thomas King. Peter Joseph Van Esch. Philip Olay. Taylor Masahiro Yi. Bergen Richter. Mohammad Usama Najar. Ayman Fakuri. Naimisha Dari Peneni. Shaveta Nuvuri. Pratik Warma Kalapali. Sridhar Anil Jangam. Manikanta Iluri. Venkatesh Rangarajan. Andres Ricardes. Brian Delanella. Gray Stokes. Charlotte Marie Danielle Ryder.
Suraj Gajula.
Joey Lee. Julian Marcelino Chop. Srikar Satyarani. Priya Ramesh Jodhari. Sumaya Abdelkader Mohammed Noor. Eric Chuang. Christian Nab. Milo Ridenauer. Elia Reeves. Ella Ann Fontenot. Caitlin Marie Haley. Samia Shaikh. Harish Prabhakaran. Abdul Ahad Saeed Sherwani. Jonah Peter Ryan. Garrett Blake.
Ethan Yoshino.
Mike Scott McInnes. Dylan Mahler. Madison Lee. Lily Chen. Kevin Paul. Lisa Lee. Cherry Lee. Emily Ho. Brian Koi Kwang Nguyen. Trish T. Nguyen. Kevin Gallegos. Nathaniel Burl Razan Valdenor. Sahir Mokadam. Saima Mukadam. Ashley Joy Knapp. Samuel Harmon Meyer.
Samart Agarwal.
Arjun Chahan.
Aditya Verma.
Jonathan Michelle. Michelle Gurovich. Kenshin Sanhin Chow.
Gavin Pai.
Aditya Sarin. Kushali Domse. Rujuta Swati. Mansi Saini. Archita Prakash. Shreya Arbatu Kamat. Marcus Chan. Kieran Yida Lau. Frank Nguyen. Con Tran. Chian Chow. Laura Ortiz. Rowan Person. Karan Patel. Max Cabany Teixeira. Brian Vaca. Carlos Adiel Rojas. Nitya Tripathi. Sunny Han. Sakshi Connor. Chok Pui Lam. Sophie Han. Giovanni Jimenez Tio. Navodit Maheshwari. Elias Garavi. Oliver Pierce. Thomas Fujimoto. Luis Angel Rocha Rocha. Josiah Israel Aviles. Evangelos Barberes. Donovan Divise. Blanca Davila Hill. Nick Korshak. Andrew Younghan Lee.
Daniel S.C. Phelps.
Divyanshi Singh. Lawrence Pebenito Lim. Aguiles Dreef. Timothy Wu. Caitlin Junn Smith. Victoria Ayala. Leonardo Alaves Castillo. Zoe Feller. Vin Lay. Annabelle Trong. Alexander Peter Ye. Evan Leong. Kevin Niatran. Matthew Dang. Quinlan Bao Huang. James Nathaniel Yim. Trisha Sriram. Fiza Rahman. Benjamin A. Sanchez Jr. Diego Yanez. Elijah Clancy. Tia Abraham. Diane Ashley Pong. Christina Lee. Geetika Anna Peretti.
Tejasvika Gopi Mukund.
Yashesha Kotari. Maithili Nair. Atri Mehta. Aditya Bhaskar. Rahamat Zaman. Jayla Nicole Bonner. Jian Chong Lee. Alan William Jian. Arian Vora. Kirsten Lindblad. Bradley Joseph Hare. Corinne Patel. Marcus Chakfong Leong. Kashmira Suraj Jadvani. Adam Wu. James Victor Contini. Eric Trumanson Chow. Acer Nicholas Christia. Andrea Nadine Beltran Castillo. Yiming Thong. Lorraine Claudia Torres. Yi Wen Chen. Isaiah Lozano. Arul Singh Bangari. Costa Bar Harnoor. Sarah Huang. Shivani Mandalaparthi. Abigail Page Obil. Jason Wu. Hasan Turkos. Napat Sichan. Genevieve Ferial Greco. Yasmin Sims. Kira Liao. Alex Rodriguez. Sophia Happily Sheeler. Kenneth Wiriata Sastra. Hai Chuan Wei. Yang Yi Lu.
Edgar Agekian.
Nia Min Pham. Andrew Shu. Andrew Hoa Vin Ton Tat. Sophia Stranad Voski. Antonio Duran Ramos. Tanishk Goyal. Mai Tsuyazaki. Stephen Shui. Gage Kephart. Jenny Jintong Lin. Navaneeth Krishnan Srinivasan. Howard Wong. Abdullah A. Saeed.
Hayden Leach.
Kelly Lynn. Aiden Auyugan. Alexander Beloyu. Victor Chen. Hannah Gunther. Ana Razia Jahangiri. Ahona Hassin Zaki. Brishti Tiagi. Animesh Tiwari. Martin Turubiates. Jack Garland Wilhelm. Ruhai Lin. Jonathan Chang. Danny Winti Dang. Sebastian Antonio Morgese. Andrew Sevak Yegiayan. Ishan Madan. India Spot. Arush Banerjee. Garrett Stephen Waterbury. Adam Oliva. Connor Van Boris. Daniel Andre Yankin. Gavin Coladonato. Nathan Matthew Wu. Alexander Ragland. Jason Lee Yu. Alan Liu. Eric Law. Diana Perez Garduño. Scott Ota. Judah Miro Tappert. Adam Jonathan Cobley. Anandi Radhakrishnan. Michael Tobias Manik. Sandhya Murdeshwar. Caden Wesley Roberts. Zara Petiwala.
Meghna Shalamala.
Sage Gavion Brill. Iz Nasser. Abir Subhi Jabri. Gudsi Al Jabiri. Ramzi George Mogana. Cole Schreiner. Leo Lin. Matthew Stewart Randall. Ryan C. Taylor.
Raphael Justin Delwart.
Ari Sinervo.
Ethan Heffen. Eric Wang. Dylan Joshua Louie. Lo Weislack. Moore Macaulay. Igor Praciano Bessa. Michael G. Quinn. Eon Lang. Jane Choi. Nikita Shenoy. Akshita Nagaraj. Sriniti Srinivasan. Sean Singh. Mitchell Tansey. Arian Haydari. Kai Juarez Jimenez. CJ Pascual Agsaulio. Sean Maven Venadas. Juan Fernando Prado Morales. Christian Michael Beckler. Madeline Alyssa Kwong. Miguel Angel Robles Hernandez. Angel Grace Cervantes. Kimberly Lintero Magpantay. Wyatt Hawes. Sophie Ann Seppi Hernandez. Samra Khan. Shireen Rockney. Haley Lynn Hemmingson. Marianne Nancy Gaji. Awa Althea Endom. Chase Howski. Faisal Mohammed Shujayi. Arnav Nepal. Sam David Leger. Harshit Gupta. Maz Aman. Garrison Astounda. Daniel Glick. Dexter Hong. Grace Herman. Jasmine H. Liang. Anusha Pai. Madeline Olivia Miller. Rina Munakata. Crystal Huang. Tiffany Guan. Songya Zhang. Katrina Ann Apostle. Alejandro Pote. Cyrus Kelly Park. Aditi Bhatt. Aurora Hofkin. Caitlin Rose Killian. Giovanni Shed. Cooper Francis Cantrell. Zachary Kaner. Anirudh Iyer. Ryan Joseph Trimble. Sam Joseph Laveau. Christopher William McLeod. Liam Asayag. Anna Grace Schultz. Aiden Sterling. Alyssa Merced Lugtu. Victoria Morgan. Jackie Sanchez. Tanvi Jambale. Carrie Tse. Yu Hua Hua. Jake Yu. Michael Patrick Wong. Eric T. Wang. Elaine Lee. Nadine Atayeb. Victor Ranulfo Molina. Asa James Anderson. Giovanni Romero. Dustin Nguyen Ha. Akash Srinivasan. Evan Wang. Patrick Topor. Khalid Al-Qaderi. Donnie Tang. Nathaniel Raimundo Larente. Arman Singh Sohi. Jaron Kobe Kawai. Brandon H. Sun. Erickson Lowe. Norman Shumin Chu. Austin Yu. Samir Dash. Trenton Yee. Anantajit Srikan. Ishan Singh. Neil Grover. Isaiah Andre Roque. Thomas Edward O'Hare. Jonathan Tadakatsu Andrews.
Brandon Lee.
Diego Edmund Arenas Belsic. Alexander Benjamin Cruz Pexon. Jerry Flores. Jacob Preston Denon. Carlos Cortes. Farzana Faiz. Dominique Cafalos. Victoria Alexandra Luban. Micaela Ann House Bertanetti. Shreya Sinha. Jessie Marie D. Guzman. Prisha Bhattacharya. Amisha Prasad. Glenn Grant Richards. Christian Dongan. Vin Tran. Nasa Chopra. Genevieve Gonzalez. Kirk Angelo Ocampo Perez. Finley Joseph Nathan. Anthony Christopher Reyna. Claire Therese Reyes. Niriti Gayatri Boparaju. Marshall Sekula.
Emmett Benarie.
Orko Mahesh. Orko Mahesh. Jacob Bautista. Joseph Garcia. Zayden Edward Obis Yet. Delia Ann Gagnon. Kendra Mary Kruger. Brenda Lai. Cesar Duarte. Jonah Alexander Dionisio. Carlos Garcia Guerrero. Adrian Manuel Lopez. Julio Quiroga Galan. Leon Enrique Peralta Fernandez. Justin Siradanai Karnsumjet. Marlon John Brewer. Dylan Ford. Joaquim Allen Drew Lozano. Harshit Potula. Netik Podar. Haley Leanne Garber. Nicholas Enrique Aguayo. Ryan Okimoto. Miguel Angel Comonfort. Wyatt Avila. Connor Bruce Platt. Carla Paula Vasquez. Oscar Carroll. Abi Chabi. Zoe Jeffrey. Shazad Ramzi. Samina Marjan Estaclau. Hasina Meshgan Estaclau. Nick Hanole Di Lorenzo. Celeste Herrera.
Kaylee Lynette Morales.
Ansel Trevino.
Forrest Pineo Kavanaugh. Mega Agarwal. Anusha Rapuru. Lekya Domalapati. Ananya Batra. Owen McKee. Lucas Zen Sanderson. Joat Alejandro Carrera. Antonio Hernandez Reeves. Brian Garabay Manzo. Akanksha Rajagopalan. Cole Gannon. Shoto Morisaki.
Wow, that was fun. Okay, candidates for the bachelor's degree, it's time to move your tassels from the right side to the left side. And graduates, I'm going to ask you now to stand and turn around and thank your family and friends. Okay. Okay, you can sit down. And if you haven't yet, if you look underneath your seat, you should find a license plate cover. a gift. I've seen them all over the country. Show them off. So a word to our guests. In a moment, the faculty and students will process down the center aisle. I'll ask you to please wait, not fill the aisle. I know it's tempting, but let us proceed out, or whatever it's called. And keep the aisle clear. And graduates, if you could just wait for the party up here to make its way first, I would appreciate that. So that will conclude our ceremony. Thank you for this incredible event. Congratulations.